Hello, how are you all doing this morning? I know I have to ask, right? Good morning, everybody. Welcome to SunriseDaily today. I'm Chamberlain, so.
If only we could hear the answer. I wonder what it will be. Will it be fine or coping? Good morning and welcome to SunriseDaily. Well, whatever it is you feel this morning, we are your daily dose of sunshine and clarity. I'm Maupe Ogun Yusuf.
Well, with the petrol price hitting them left, right, and center, you can guess how different people are adjusting to this reality. But yes, we did say the authorities needed to swing into action and do something about all of this. But maybe better than nothing. So the executive chairman of the presidential initiative on compressed natural gas, that's the CNG, Ismail Ahmed, he spoke about what the president has decided that they were going to do about CNG buses. So let's have a look.
The president had given a direct mandate that we should immediately deploy about 100,000 kits, that we are working with so many other stakeholders that would incentivize and get it into the market immediately and be able to convert a lot of vehicles and tricycles for people to be able to access gas. And then he also gave a directive that we must be able to fast track the infrastructure in bringing gas and CNG and electric mobility charging infrastructures to every part of the country, especially within the northern corridor, so that a lot of people will be able to access this. He wants us to move quickly, so we have about 100,000 kits that we're going to deploy in the next 2-3 weeks. That the conversion centers will all be bustling with a lot of conversion activities. We have a proposal that we're going to deploy a lot of vehicles and tricycles that are by CNG and electric mobility as well. And that's what we are doing. And then we have about refueling stations, about 77, that are all in the different stages of being developed. In Kano right now, we have about 2 LCNG stations and about 5-6 daughter stations that are coming up as well. Along the corridors from Lokoja all the way to Abuja, Kaduna, Zaria, Kano, all the way to Maiduguri. These are all places that we are going to litter with a lot of refueling units. So it's something that we're looking forward to. The president wants results delivered very quickly so that Nigerians will be able to access the CNG and electric mobility.
Well, you just heard there from the executive chairman of the presidential initiative on compressed natural gas, Ismail Ahmed, and he was talking about the deployment, an immediate deployment of 100,000 CNG kits. And from what we heard, I mean, they want it done as quickly as possible. They say within the next 2 to 3 weeks. And he was very specific on where this deployment will be. He says, particularly around the northern corridor. So we'll wait and see. I think that this is going to be for people within the northern corridor to tell us what they see within the next 2 to 3 weeks. But then we also have to go back to asking the governors in the different states, what has happened to the CNG plan in their states? What has happened to the CNG buses, a number of them deployed in the aftermath of the removal of fuel subsidies? We saw a number of states actively deploying buses, CNG-powered buses. Are those buses still active? Have you been able to add a significant more number to the numbers that you had on the ground initially? Or has the plan been forgotten since Nigerians got used to the price? Because that's usually what happens. You know, there will be this immediate palliative measure put in place, and afterwards, when people stop complaining or when the complaint is no longer as loud or they've moved to other complaints, then everybody forgets about what the initial plan was. But in this ongoing arrangement with transportation, it does appear that this is going to be a going concern. And I think it's important for state governments and even the federal government to put its money where its mouth is with regards to a comprehensive national plan for transportation across the country. A transportation plan that dignifies people, doesn't leave them, you know, wondering. People, regardless of whatever class they're in, should not feel, you know, like they shouldn't feel less than human when they use the public transportation system. We hear of our leaders going out of this country and they're able to use the public transportation system in other countries. Why can't it happen here? We see a move with that, especially with the deployment of rail. But clearly, it appears that that has been slowed down somewhat. CNG buses was another initiative. For instance, here in the Federal Capital Territory, we continue to see that transportation is and remains a challenge. We've seen the building of stations, bus stations, across different parts of the city. And I think, Chimling, you were in a chat recently with the minister. I don't know if that was one of the highlights, but he did come up. Yeah, I thought I heard it, saying something that they were in partnership, they're speaking with private sector partners whom they hope they will collaborate with. Well, that conversation needs to be sped up because people pay for transportation on a daily basis. It is a significant cost for the average Nigerian on a daily basis. So it will be very helpful for these conversations to happen as quickly as possible, for this deployment to be done as quickly. It doesn't make sense. When I think about it many times, Jimmy, I've said it several times, and some people have the opinion that I shouldn't say this, that I live along the airport road. And one of the things that continues to baffle me is that there is no designated, there are no designated buses that just ply the airport road. There is no need why, there's no reason why I should bring my car to the office every day. I should be able to come out of whatever estate or whatever place I live in, find a place to park there. If, for instance, I don't want to take a keke, for instance, and then join the public transportation system to town. And that should apply for many other places. For instance, Kubwa, Dutse, Nyanya, Maraba, because these are the places that people, lots of people are coming from those areas to the city center to, carry out their business. We want to see a more comprehensive plan. Yeah, this is good that 100 CNG kits are going to be deployed. 100,000, beg your pardon, are going to be deployed. Is it going to be for public transportation? Is it for private use? So some of the details that we're yet to get. So I think it'll be very worthwhile for the executive chairman to, take time to brief Nigerians comprehensively in terms of what they should look out for. He mentioned keke, at least I know I heard that. So we most likely will be seeing tricycle operators also getting the CNG kit. So clearly, while some may be designated for public transportation, we need to think more mass transportation, more structured transportation systems for the different states that we're going to be dealing with. And I think that way, people will pay less and less for transportation if we're really going to make an impact on the long term for what this will I say the vagaries of the war in Iran and even general vagaries, international vagaries with the price of crude oil will mean for our country, Nigeria.
And there's a lot to unpack in all of those, because at the moment we don't seem to have a stopgap measure or something to absorb the shock for Nigerians. I can't see it. If it's there, I stand corrected. I can't see it, either from what. But, above all else, I had to ask people who use public transport every day this morning, has the transport fare increased? Of course, the answer is yes.
Of course. And unfortunately, when very much unlike what Dangote has done, Dangote Refineries released a statement yesterday saying that they had reduced the gantry price by 100 naira, even though they had just increased it a few days ago. Yeah. Well, they have now reduced it in tandem with the reduction in the price of crude oil on the international market. They are very active, actively trying to tell Nigerians, we're only going to try and reflect what is happening on the international market. But it's not, the same cannot be said for either the filling stations or for transporters, at whose mercy the majority of the public are at. Yeah. So those are some of the issues. If government is able to intervene in this particular sector, then it will automatically, I want to believe that it will have an effect on the people in the private sector. I think we can always ask what is happening in Lagos, because Lagos does have, at least a structured transport system, the BRT transport system that works in Lagos. It will be very interesting to see what dynamics that really has on the Danfo, for instance, or I'm trying to remember the name of the other one that they use. It's a small bus like this, Korokpe, I think they're called. It'll be interesting to know what effect it has on the pricing, because people know that there are certain routes that this BRT buses fly, and if your rate is too high as a Danfo operator or as a Korokpe operator, people simply go and queue for the BRT.
So you see, in order for government policies to have the effect, there are certain things that are missing. So, for instance, they have about 12 million registered vehicles in the country. Yes, it says 77,000 stations are at different stages of development, but that's going to be like a fraction. So yes, they want to cushion the effect, so to speak, but then these policies are usually measured by what happens the next morning at the bus stop. So yes, we do know that there are some persons who have converted, even though it takes between, 600,000 to 1.5 million naira to convert your petrol vehicle to CNG, depending on the kind of vehicle you've got. So that's going to be a challenge for people who want to convert in the first instance. But for those who have, and the government assisted, it turns out, because I stumbled across some narrative where some persons had picked up a cab from the airport to town. These chaps were using CNG, and their prices were not supposed to be the same as those who were driving petrol vehicles. Because that's the instruction that governments gave. If you're going to get this, you have to make an impact.
Yeah.
So,
was there any difference?
There was no difference.
There was no difference.
Fortunately, and unfortunately for the chap who was operating the vehicle, the passenger reported to FCCPC. They took up the matter. I think they had to fine him. They took away the CNG. I think they refunded the chap.
Now you just said something. So
Yeah.
I remember one day, I was going to take a taxi from the airport, and I noticed that this guy opened his boot and was about to put my luggage in it, but it was covered. I was going to ask, why is your boot covered?
It's CNG.
Maybe he didn't want me to know that he was using CNG.
It's CNG.
Now that you just said it.
So the thing about that is this. Chaps that government has ensured they take CNG, they are part of the challenge. They still insist on collecting the same fee for those who are in petrol. So government policies, you just appear as though nothing is happening. So they themselves need to find a way to ensure that they check and make sure that these policies are not just bastardized by people like that. So yes, FCPC might have fined that individual, but they need to go back to those unions at the airport, and ensure that, listen, if somebody's got the CNG, you cannot charge them the same fare or whatever fee or levies you guys have, as you would for other people.
Indeed.
Because those guys complain that if we reduce, these guys don't.
Yeah.
So those things have got to happen. So if we don't have a structure, these policies won't have any impact on the average person.
That's one. And then two, just as a reminder, there is a train that runs from town to the airport. Now, it might be hard for you to find where the train station is at the airport. I think that's the challenge for a number of people. But just for your information, I think it might be worthwhile to make that finding. But I did see only recently a foreigner. Someone said a foreigner telling you about what is happening in your own country, and it doesn't have to be that way. So by all means, it will be worthwhile for you to find out how the train system works from the city center. I know it's just around, is it behind the Russian embassy or so, around the Ekwa Church. Find out how it works. There are times when it leaves to the airport, and guess what? It's free. You're not paying anything for now, at least.
Well, it's important that the authorities ensure that they put in place a proper system and a structure to ensure that these things are felt at the bus stops by the people who they actually want to make an impact on. Because if you look at it, I have to check again. Do you know that the NURT, according to the reports we're reading, they generate 123 billion naira annually? NURT in Lagos, for instance. Yes. NURT workers. Okay, no, this is national. So the thing about that is this.
I was about to grab my heart.
If we have a proper structure,
you
can imagine how you can improve upon all that. And this one is the one that, well, I'd like you to just go read that report so you know what we're talking about. So don't dwell on that too much. But from then on, let's move on to this matter. Questions are being raised about political space and democratic freedoms in Cross River State after police sealed off a venue in Calabar where members of the ADC were scheduled to hold a membership mobilization and registration exercise. Supporters of the party say The move amounts to interference in legitimate political activity, but the State Police Command offers a different explanation, saying officers were deployed to maintain law and order. And by the way, we did extend an invitation to the police for this conversation, but they indicated they will be unavailable. This morning we're joined by Usani, National Vice Chairman, South-South of the ADC and the former Minister of the Niger Delta Affairs. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on the program today.
Good morning, a great team.
Well, we understand that you were at the venue. Could you tell us what exactly unfolded?
Well, we saw a barricade of policemen urging that they had complaints and it was necessary for them to ensure that peace was not breached. And we had to run here and there, meet with the Commissioner of Police and some of his officers who insisted that because people had sent to them a petition, they want to guarantee peace in society, and so they insisted we don't hold the event. And I thought, in my view, the essential aspect of their getting the report, like they say, they were there to maintain peace and order, then it would have been their duty to protect the environment and allow us go on with our event. Because if they didn't get the report and there was any breakdown of law and order, then it would have meant that they would only be coming on what I would call a fire brigade intervention. But here they got the report on time and they didn't ask. I'm not sure they asked. What is the reason for the petition? Even if it was, the petition would have been sent to the party organ to respond to, but not to attempt to prevent us from holding the event.
Okay, but you also met with the CP, didn't you? What was the resolution?
Eventually, we said, we have got people who sacrificially came all the way from the northern parts of the state and other local government areas, driving up to 7 hours to get here on their own. And we just won't be quiet and calm to let them begin to speculate on what would have happened, and after they see nothing happening and they begin to depart to their various destinations. So we needed to address them. And we said, open the place, let us address our delegates, and after that, we will leave. Of course, we succeeded in convincing him and the other is meant to allow us get in and address our people, but several hours after the stipulated time. So a lot of the people who had come for the event had gone back to their either accommodation places or where they were lodging, waiting for the call. But the time was too short to even recall all of them back. Nonetheless, those who were still hanging around were able to take the message out after addressing them.
But do you think the police had a valid reason to do what they did?
They had a valid reason to be there, but not to stop us.
Mm. It's very interesting that you say so. Do you care to tell us who filed this report?
Well, when they gave us the petition when they showed it to me, I saw the name of one John Oga, and I saw, I think another signature was one James Otudo. Those are the names I saw on the petition.
Are they names known to you?
Yeah, these are names known to me. And of course, I read through the contents of the petition.
You want to tell us what it said? As I see you have a smile on your face.
Oh, yeah, I always have to smile because life in itself offers us opportunity either to be sad or to be happy, and it's a choice. So, one of the points I saw there was that we have not contacted them as members of the State Executive Committee of the party before holding the event. Two is that the committee, Membership Mobilization and Revalidation and Registration Committee, is not known to the constitution of the party. And three, if I'm not in error, says that we have not gone to see them or so, something like that. I mean, ridiculous. But responding to such allegations, first and foremost, is the fact that we know we have a national executive. I am the national vice chairman, South-South. And then every state within the region should be under the purview of my administration or coordination, so to say. So you expect me to come and take permission from a subordinate, assuming he is rightly placed or legitimately placed to demand that. It's like saying the president has to take permission from his local government chairman to visit his house.
Well, some of them disagree with you on that one. For instance, who convened this meeting? Was it you?
I tell you, first and foremost, I did not convene the meeting, but the person or the officials empowered to convene the meeting did, and I came as a representative of the national office. Now, it derives from this.
Yeah, so who was the official in this case?
Yeah, hold on, I'm coming. We have a national version of this committee headed by Kashim Imam, and the launch of it or the unveiling of it was carried out in February 12th. And you were there. And they also inaugurated the state chairmen and secretaries of the similar committee at the lower level of the states. Then empowered to go down to the states and inaugurate the local government version of the committee. And so Barrister Eko Alobo, the chairman of this committee in Cross River State, is the one that planned and convened this. So by virtue of my being from this state and of course being around the event,
so why then do they say that the meeting was not convened by the chairman of ADC in the states, and that's the proper channel, and so they don't see any reason why that should hold, and that's why some say the state's ADC is factionalized at the moment?
First and foremost, there are facts. This your question carries different, I would say, branches of response. One, even when we had the launch at Abuja, Kashim Imam was in charge. The national chairman only came in to perform a particular function and get registered as the #1 figure in the party in unveiling this exercise. So it is not within the purview of the state chairman to initiate this. Number two, the structure of the ADC as it stands now is that the National Working Committee rolls out instructions. And it is also in the constitution of the party that the national chairman of the party can take decisions and get such ratified. So instructions have been given. And the people who are mandated are also carrying out the instructions. Where do we place whoever says is chairman of what to perform which function? Again, the person who is saying is the state chairman, by the frame of what we call leadership teams per state, as has been enunciated by the leadership of the party at the national level, all other states have it, all states have it, prescribes that the state chairman becomes a member of that leadership team. And the leadership team has a prescription of certain personalities who have occupied certain positions, who on a simple majority can also co-opt other prominent politicians and have 2 women, 2 youth per senatorial district to constitute this. Then to talk of the issue of factionalization, when you talk of factionalization, it means there are 2 groups of every eventuality or every arm of the administration. Ask them, who have we recognized as the state chairman of the party?
So
If your
part of the
people were
accusation against you, because they also accuse you of different things, they say you have been convening meetings in the private residence of Mr. Lee Elimoke, who they say is unknown to the party, and as such, that runs contrary to the regulations of the party. Is that right?
If Lee Elimoke is unknown to the party, I will just refer you to a little assignment. Let us ask Senator David Mark if Lee Elimoke is unknown to the party. Number two, if at the realization of the fact that we convene meetings in Leah's house, let us ask John Organ, let us ask Dr. Nyong, let us ask the women leader, or let us ask who again was there? Well, I must have forgotten the name because they came as a team. When they attended the meeting in Leah Limoke's house in Abuja, and when we got into Cross River on the 31st of July to have a meeting of the coalition bodies, why did they also attend a meeting in Leah Limoke's house? And why had they also attended one or two meetings in my own house? So when did the realization come that attending meetings in private residence is an offense? This is an assignment for them to answer if you have the time to inquire from them.
So do they have a point when they said that you were suspended in October 2025 owing to insubordination and not reporting to the appropriate organ of the party?
Now, by the use of that language, how does a superior officer insubordinate a lower officer? It's either I don't understand the meaning of insubordination, or it has a contextual meaning in this circumstance. But the answer I will give to that inquiry is, well, they say I'm on suspension, but I run around the region and attend National Working Committee of the party.
You don't consider yourself as being suspended?
How? Well, if I was suspended, would I be playing the roles I'm playing and getting the recognition I have at the national level of the party? In the first instance, it is against the Constitution to say you suspend or you discipline somebody who is higher than the organ you either control purportedly or real.
No, but
so
your ward, the ward can suspend you at the ward level. Don't they do that? That can happen.
I am talking about the constitution of ADC. And of course, even if the ward can suspend me, when that clownish narrative was being spread, my ward chairman wrote and went to the media and said he had not seen me in any offense against the rules of the party, and I'm a good party man.
Is Donald Duke a member of the party in the state?
I have read it in the media. So
I don't understand.
And I believe.
How do you mean you read it in the media? You're the national vice chairman South. Is he a member of your party?
Yeah, if Donald Duke is a member of any party, not just my party, it is expected that he will register his name in his word.
So,
and
is he a registered, do you know him as a registered member of the ADC?
I have told you, I have read it in the media. I haven't got any tangible evidence that he's a member of the ADC. And I cannot say what I do not know. I must, subscribe to the knowledge I have. I'm not saying he's not a member, but I am saying the means by which I understand he's a member is the media.
All right. Well, it was very interesting how the story was framed initially. I mean, a number of people thought that this was something that had to do with the ruling party using the police to crack down on opposition in the state. But clearly, there is an internal dispute within the ADC in your state. Do you suspect any external hands having a finger in this?
Oh, God. First of all, I need you to reflect on my background in politics. And on that reflection, it will not be strange for you to know that, or at least to speculate that, I have friends across different horizons of the political system. And at my stage, I shouldn't make spurious speculations, even if I have authentic information. it is beyond what is claimed to be internal whatever. And if it is internal, you are aware that the new either constitutional amendment or electoral law, and even the courts tend to tell us that internal issues in the party should be left to the party, although I do not agree with that assertion in respect of legality or jurisprudence, or adjudication, because if an internal process of the party violates a constitutional provision which governs the people of Nigeria, it should be challenged. So on that arm, I don't agree with that. But again, to say it's internal, well, it has an internal phase, but it has octopus effects and influences.
In other words, are you saying that the ruling party, are you accusing the ruling party of complicity in this matter?
This man, you define trouble.
Now, just for people to know.
Tell me what you know. I know you know more than I know, so tell me.
You're the one that said you have friends in high places. What are your friends telling you? Are they saying, this is the voice of Jacob and hand of Esau?
You know, the police commissioner is my friend, and you know that they say the police is your friend. So if I say so, I'm only aligning with the common cleavages of our relations as different sectors of society. So, of course, in politics, anyone opposed to your interest will be happy for the discontent of your own situation, you know. So I cannot come out and accuse the ruling party because I don't want to be accused of cyber stalking. I don't know the limits or ambits of what cyber stalking entails. So I don't want to be a victim.
Interesting. It will be interesting to see how this is resolved. But in the meantime, it does appear that what the police was trying to do was something preemptive to keep the peace. What resolution have you now reached to enable your members get registered as this exercise is important according to the electoral process?
Well, earlier on I said the fact that you have information as a law enforcing agent or agency, and unfortunately, you have arrived the scene. Yes, you have all it takes to now maintain the peace. First of all, the event was not meant to be an outdoor event. It was an indoor event. So it became easy to just say,
oh dear. It does appear that...
Can you see here, Dr. Sani?
I believe his bandwidth is frozen. But it'll be interesting to see how matters are resolved in this particular dispute. I mean, he is unwilling to say very categorically that this is the hand of Esau and the voice of Jacob that seems to be playing out within their party. But it'll be interesting to see how this registration goes on within the ADC in Cross River, because we do know that this is one of the requirements that they must fulfill. Not just that the members will be registered, but they have to be digitally registered, and that register be handed to INEC ahead of the elections coming up in 2027. So we look forward to a favorable resolution of the matter and making sure that people who come from far and near to register as members of the ADC are not disenfranchised.
But part of the narrative, what I was going to ask him too is, how do they... Okay, I think, Dr. Sani, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so as we wind down, could you then tell us, because it does appear as though, I mean, from clearly what we've seen, the different narrative, different people pulling on different sides. How do you plan to challenge the ruling party if the party cannot forge a common front? I think, okay. So I guess we'll see how we can, maybe for another day. But clearly, there's, he says, Mr. Donald Duke, the former governor of the Cross River State, he doesn't know if he's a member. He only heard it in the media. And I thought, okay, so you could read the handwriting on the wall right there. But we have to anchor at that point. Dr. Sani, can you hear us now as we wind down? Okay, I did ask you, just before we go, tell us, how do you think the party can challenge the ruling party if everybody cannot forge a common front? Can you unmute? I think you might have inadvertently muted yourself.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I was just saying that this question is not a winding down question because you can't get the fabric of the content of my expression on that issue. It demands an elaborate response so that you can understand our readiness and our challenges to be able to ascertain whether we can or cannot. But again, you are part of the process to effect our readiness because it's not just with the politicians. I just heard you talking about the issues of the energy sector and what Nigerians are going through. So it's a collective responsibility. So you'll be ready as well to ask what gives us the pain in the country.
Yeah, we'll be ready to report the matters as they happen. That's why we're here. We report the news when it happens. So
exactly.
Absolutely. So, but it has to happen first, or else it will be fabrication. But we do thank you for your time this morning, Dr. Sani Usani, National Vice Chairman, South of the ADC, and former Minister of the Niger Delta. Thank you for talking to us this morning.
It's my pleasure. Thank you. God bless you. Bye.
All right, so we will take a break. We'll be back in just a moment. Don't go away. Welcome back to SunriseDaily. Well, the Academic Staff Union of Universities chapter at the University of Lagos have announced a withdrawal of services for what it describes as the payment of, quote, amputated salaries for January and February 2026. Now, the union accuses the university management of failing to meet its financial obligations to lecturers, including allowances captured in agreements with the federal government. Now, the development comes even as the Ministry of Education recently directed federal universities to begin payments of the Consolidated Academic Tools Allowances, as CATA, in line with the agreement reached with the union. So this morning we will be joined virtually by David Awara, who is a professor of international relations and strategic studies at the University of Lagos, to shed light, of course not heat, on this matter. So he will be coming on in a moment to explain what is going on. Now, statements issued from the Academic Staff Union of Universities titled Resolution of an Emergency Congress held on Tuesday, 10th March 2026 at the Faculty of Engineering Lecture Theatre. So it was an emergency session, and they said after extensive and exhaustive deliberations on the one-item addendum, Congress observes as follows that 1. The university discriminately paid amputated salary in January 2026 to all members, i.e. Akoko campus, no earned academic allowance payment. 2, Idiaraba campus, no earned academic allowance, and then the CATA payments. And then the university also, according to them, unilaterally and, in their words, wickedly paid amputated February 2026 salary to all their members. And so they said, in view of the foregoing and in line with the subsisting pre-NDC NEC resolution of Thursday, 8th May 2025, Congress unanimously resolved as follows. 1, reject in entirety the recent action that resulted in all our members getting the said amputated salary structure. And then part of that resolution too is that they are to withdraw their services effective Wednesday, 11th March 2026, since the university has failed to pay their January salaries in full as at the 9th of March. And then they say the withdrawal of services by their members will be in force until the payment is in full. But this morning, the university has released a statement saying due process was not followed in coming through with these decisions of theirs. And as such, the University of Lagos directed the deans of faculties and all the members to ensure they put in place measures that the exams will continue tomorrow because they don't want it to affect students who are already on their CYs, who will go for internships and all of that.
And they're going to law school as well.
Exactly. So they say that will proceed. Oh, Professor Awara joins us now. Good morning, Prof. Thank you for joining us on this today.
Good morning, Chamberlain.
Okay, so on this matter, I mean, it's been a while. First of all, many thought that meeting that the Ministry of Education and by extension FG had with ASUU was going to put an end to this kind of industrial dispute. But here we are again with this matter. And by the way, in UNILAG, for instance, where they say it's been a while you ever heard UNILAG ASUU up in arms with the management. What can you tell us about this matter?
It is very simple. You know, the decision has arisen from the crisis of payment of salaries. The agreement that was signed, the renegotiated ASUU federal government agreement, 2009 agreement was renegotiated in 2015, 2025 rather, and then of course signed in early 2026, 14th of January 2026.
Okay, that's frozen, but he's going to speak a little further when he does, when we get that connection back. But there was also a notice from the Federal Ministry of Education.
Indeed, Chamberlain.
Yeah.
Yeah, talking about the payment of Consolidated Academic Tools Allowance, known as CATA. This was signed by the Minister of Education himself, Dr. Tunji Alausa, which was addressed to all pro-chancellors of federal universities. The letter was talking about the payment of the allowance of the Consolidated Academic Tools Allowance as CATA to academic staff of the university pending the conclusion of the 2026 budget approval formalities. But I understand that Professor Urawo is back now, and he was saying that the matter at hand is simple. Prof, we do hope that a resolution of this matter will also be simple indeed. It's good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. So you can go on with your thoughts, Prof, as to how you believe that this matter can simply be resolved.
Yes, it is simple, but like you said, that we hope that the resolution will be simple. I met the minister a few weeks ago, Minister of Education, and I was joking with him, and I said there is need to be careful about the implementation of the agreement, and that if kata is not well handled, it will cause kata. And we laughed over it. I didn't know that those comments were prophetic. Just a few weeks later now, we are where we are. Yeah, so I think the major issue revolves around the fact that things were not well thought out. The minister mentioned that, yeah, payment will commence at the end of January. And then towards the end of the month,
I think this network is trying to cause kata this morning.
Yeah. Hearing us talk about kata, it was to show us kata. Anyways, we will refuse to be deterred. We believe that Prof will join us soon, to tell us just how this matter. Prof, we lost you for a bit. We believe you're back. Can you still hear us? You were just telling us about kata. Meanwhile, the network too was trying to show its own.
yes. So as I was saying that, yeah, there was a missing link. The problem revolves around the fact that adequate provisions were not made to pay the differential, pending when the budget will become operational. That letter you just read is the letter from the minister to pro-chancellors, that they should look for ways of paying the differential pending when the budget will become operational, and then government can take over. But the minister and the government didn't consider the capacity of the universities to pay. Clearly now, the universities don't have money to pay. And so a few of them are ready to gather money there and there to pay, while several others, are not able to pay. And that is why, we have this condition.
Prof,
where...
How are people supposed to be convinced that UNILAG does not have money to pay when schools that UNILAG's IGR is bigger than have paid? Don't worry, we're going to have him back so that he can speak to that. Prof, can you hear us now?
I can hear you now, yes. I can hear you now.
I'm wondering, I mean, how are people supposed to believe that UNILAG doesn't have the money to pay? Because 11 other schools, some of them, UNILAG has bigger IGR combined. They have paid, so why are they not paying?
And that is the crux of the matter, Chamberlain. People believe that UNILAG should be able to pay. In fact, that if UNILAG pays and any other school is not able to pay, we can accept that. But if any school is able to pay, even one, then UNILAG will have no excuse not to pay. That is the crux of the matter, really. And I also personally believe that UNILAG has the capacity to pay, and that not having paid, it does not arise from the lack of capacity to pay. And that is the issue. Even my friends in AUC, they tell me your school has a lot of money. Don't bother. Your school has a lot of money. Your school money na water. The joke of that. And that is the perception over the country. But yesterday, the strikes we had in 2020 and 2022, I was really pained. I was really pained that 1.8 million Nigerian children sat at home for 2 years out of 3 years. And so once I hear strike, in fact, when I was talking to the minister a few weeks ago, that was also my position, that I hope we will not have strike, moving forward. And it was upbeat that the era of strike is over. But now we are where we are. So yesterday I consulted around here and there. I also spoke with some members of management here in the university. And one comment that is made is that the Ministry of Finance is not happy that universities are paying, this money from wherever they are getting the money from, and that even some of them have been queried for paying. And so that speaks to a broader picture, and that is that there needs to be interagency, interministry cooperation. If the Minister of Education says schools can pay, Minister of Finance should not be saying, querying institutions for paying. There should be harmony within the administration. So it's a major issue.
Yeah,
and if you ask me for advice...
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yeah, and if you ask me for advice, what I would advise authorities of UNILAG and some others that can pay, they should go ahead to pay. They should ignore Ministry of Finance and go ahead to pay. They are covered by that memo from the Minister of Education that they should look for money and pay within, so that we can have industrial harmony and so there can be stability.
Yeah, because that supersedes any other directive. I mean, the minister has spoken, so they should go ahead. That's the thing to be done, actually.
Exactly. That is what I expected UNILAG authorities to do that was not done, which is at the heart of this matter. But like you said, overnight, we have had consultations here and there, discussions here and there, and there seems to be willingness to do something, which would...
Okay, so what do you see happening now? Because the statements making the rounds from the management of the school is saying that students should proceed, the deans put measures in place so that exams can continue tomorrow. How do you see this proceeding? Will that harmony be addressed? I mean, will it be sorted? I think it's frozen again.
This network doesn't want us to get the most from this conversation this morning, Chamberlain.
Yeah, because it's kind of confusing. The school management is insisting
the exams will go ahead. Yeah.
And then the last commentary from ASUU UNILAG is that, no, they're trying to gather support.
They put the responsibility on the shoulders of the deans. Yeah. Usually I do know that at some point it appears that you get to a certain level of management where you are exempt from joining unions. You're not allowed to be in the union. So the deans of the different faculties will have to find a way. But Prof, can you enlighten us on this information that has now come forth from the school? Because we know that right now students are writing exams and the school says, well, this issue has come to light for them. They think ASUU did not follow due process and they want the exams to go on as scheduled. They put the responsibility on the deans. How do you think they'll carry it out, sir?
Well, let me make a couple of comments, and that is the first of it is that the statement that due process was not followed to declare this right is not correct. There is an ASUU resolution which states that if by the 3rd of the next month salaries are not paid, the Congress could hold, that is the branch could hold the Congress, and then take a position as to whether they want to withdraw salaries or not. That was what ASUU UNILAG branch did yesterday, and it is just in order. So that notion is not correct. To say that the withdrawal of services didn't follow due process. That is not correct. Due process was followed by the Congress yesterday when decision was reached to withdraw services. Well, let's make that very clear.
Okay.
The second leg of the question, which is these exams that are currently going on, the responsibility placed on the shoulders of the deans, how do you suppose they'll carry it out?
Well, it would have been almost impossible for the deans to be able to carry out the decision. But for the fact that the ASUU chairperson here has made a release urging members to go back to work. And so that will help the deans, because it means that there is an official position from ASUU, the ASUU leadership for members, to return to work. And so I can see colleagues, already back conducting the exams. So that will help the deans. But if we didn't have such position from ASUU leadership here, the deans will just be there. A dean alone cannot supervise exams in maybe 6 or 7 departments in different faculties. Yeah. The position of ASUU leadership here that members should return to work, that they have had, commitment and some guarantees and some good faith from management. On that basis, members have been told to return to work, and I can see colleagues already in the classrooms, conducting exams. So that is like a middle position. But personally, I think that decision will be detrimental to ASUU itself, because members will be dejected. They took the decision and they were not allowed to, assess what has been presented and take the decision to, restore services. I don't think that was neat enough, but for now, we just take that, and exams are already, going on in the schools. I mean, the classrooms are opened and things are, going on. But we also hope that whatever management has promised, we hope that will be carried to a logical conclusion so that this matter can be, ended peacefully. But one last thing I want to say. Hello, can you hear me?
Go ahead, yes.
Yes, one last thing I want to say, that whatever is being done now is temporary. Another month is about to end very soon. And so government needs to really, look for ways of making provisions to be able to pay this money. Universities will not be able to pay this money in the long run. I'm sure they've exhausted what they have as IGR in paying January and February. So in a few weeks' time, we'll be back to where we are now. So this strike, to my mind, if there's any gain in it, it is the fact that it has drawn attention to the need for government to quickly make funds available and not rely on schools that don't have the money to be able to pay the differential between the old salary and the new one.
So that means if the budget is passed in 3 months' time, there might be a challenge.
Look, if the budget is not, if I don't know whether it's the budget, wherever they can get the money from, they just need to go and get it. Schools don't have the money to pay. And so in 2-3 weeks' time, will be another month to end. In 2 weeks' time, another month to end. And the schools will not have the money to pay. So we're back to where we are now in just a little over 2 weeks. So the resolution of this crisis should not end with just making funds available to pay for, February, whatever, March, whatever, April. Government knows how to get money to, meet some needs and then fill back what has been taken. Government knows how to do it. Judges had their own salaries increased. We didn't have this crisis. Yeah. Political office holders also had their own. We didn't have this crisis. The advice is that government should just try to look for money before the end of March So we don't return to where we are now when March ends.
All right, we'll anchor at that point. Was good for the goose, good for the gander as well. So David Awaro, Professor of International Relations and Strategic Studies at the University of Lagos. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thanks so very much for having me.
There you go. That wraps it up this morning on Sunrise Daily. Thank you for your company. We'll see you next time. I'm Chamberlain Oso. Goodbye.
Well, cheers to a wonderful and productive day. Thank you for watching. I'm Mark Belgun Yusuf.